At 2:30 a.m., my phone's emergency ringtone yanked me out of sleep. The caller ID showed my company's crisis contact. "Hello, Tamura speaking." "I'm sorry to wake you," my supervisor said, voice tight. "Sakuragaoka Medical Center is calling for urgent help. The operating theater's central monitoring system is down. Individual patient monitors are still running, but the surgeons can't see the full picture. They're in the middle of a cardiac procedure." "My name is Takataka Tamura, 35. I'm a medical equipment maintenance engineer. I divorced 2 years ago, and honestly, work is all I've got." "I'm on my way," I said, pulled on clothes, and flew down the empty expressway. 20 minutes later, I was at the hospital, ushered to a crisis room beside the ORs. "The system is completely down," a nurse shouted, panic echoing through the corridor. "Please, Tamura-san," the admin clerk begged, bowing. I went straight to the rack and began diagnosis. The culprit was a failed cooling fan in the server cabinet that led to overheating. The safety cutoff had triggered, but the failover to the backup controller hadn't engaged correctly. "Give me 15 minutes, I said. "I'll hard bypass and force a reboot." I didn't have time to wipe the sweat off my face. Someone's life was literally on the table. My hands threatened to shake, but I steadied them with slow breaths. 12 minutes later, the screens across the wall blinked back to life, one after another. "We're up," I called. Right then, the OR doors swung open. "You made it in time." "Thank you," said a surgeon, a woman in scrubs, mask, and cap hiding most of her features, bowing deeply. "I'm just glad the patient's safe," I replied, exhaling as my legs nearly gave out. 3 days later, I returned to Sakuragaoka for routine maintenance. "You saved us the other night," the admin staff said again and again. "It's my job," I answered. As I walked the corridor, a woman in a white coat passed me, then stopped. "Tamura-kun?" a familiar voice called. I turned. Shoulder-length black hair, glasses, poised and composed features. "Yamazaki. It really is you. 15 years. I'm a cardiovascular surgeon here," she said, "and you're with a maintenance company now." "Yeah, that's right." The air between us went awkward and still, exactly like it used to be. "So, the emergency response the other night was you," she said. "I was the attending on that case." "Ah, the cardiac surgery. I see. Thanks to you, the patient lived. I'm grateful." Her words were polite. But there was still a wall, just like in school. "I'm glad it worked out," I said, and started to leave. "Wait," she said. "We're about to replace a large set of medical devices. The director asked for you by name." "Me? Why?" "I don't know, but he's a good judge of people. He'll explain in detail later." "Understood," I said, bowed lightly, and left the hospital. On the drive back, memories I'd rather forget returned. The joint training session 15 years ago, between our medical technology college and the National University's medical school. That's when I first met Misato Yamazaki. I was assembling a training ventilator alone when she came up behind me. "You're pretty knowledgeable for a vocational student," she'd said. "My father worked for a medical device manufacturer," I'd replied. "I see. But in the end, you're a tech school student," she added. "We'll become physicians. You'll be technicians. The weight of responsibility for human life isn't the same." Those cold words had pierced me. Many of the med school students acted superior to us, and she'd seemed the same. Though, to be fair, she often watched my hands closely while I worked, as if she were trying to verify something for herself. 15 years later, Who could have imagined we'd meet again like this, and that I'd be the one to salvage the surgery she was running? Life is strange. Since the divorce, I've avoided getting involved with women. My ex-wife's betrayal left wounds that still haven't closed. High-handed women like Yamazaki are especially hard for me. My ex had that same air. I decided to keep my distance. I had no idea this chance reunion would rattle my entire life. A week later, I was summoned by the hospital director, who turned out to be Yamazaki's uncle. "Tamura-san, thank you for the other night," he said with a warm smile. "I only did my duty," I replied. "Don't be modest. Your quick action saved a life." He bowed deeply. "Now, about the equipment renewal." I said I'd heard from Dr. Yamazaki. He set a thick dossier on the table. "We want to upgrade to the latest systems. It's a large, costly project, but I'd like your help." "I handle repairs," I said. "I can introduce our sales team." "No," he said calmly. "I want you. We'll negotiate contracts and budgets with sales, of course. But to gather frontline physician feedback and choose the best systems, we need the perspective of an outstanding engineer. Someone like you." "Why me? I'm just a tech." "I heard you arrived in the dead of night and solved a catastrophe in minutes. Your composure, skill, and integrity, I trust them. And I spoke with someone who's like a daughter to me, Misato. She holds your technical ability in high regard. She said your opinions are reliable." That surprised me. Under the cool exterior, had she been evaluating me fairly all along? "I'll talk to my company," I said. "Please do," he replied. From that day, I became a technical advisor, meeting with Yamazaki frequently. With sales in tow, we toured each department, building a requirements list. "This unit should be the latest model," she'd say. "It improves usability and reduces the patient's burden." "Got it. I'll arrange catalogs and demos," I'd answer. "Efficiently, please. Time is precious," she'd add. Her tone was still strict, but her logic was precise, and always centered on patient welfare. It was different from the barbed tone I remembered. This was a professional's rigor. Little by little, my view of her shifted. 2 months passed. We were meeting about 3 times a week, and the dynamic between us began to change. "Tamura-kun, will you show me how to operate this device?" she asked one day, sounding uncharacteristically like she needed help. "Of course," I said, and explained carefully. "I see," she said. "Your explanations are easy to understand. Thank you." "They were 15 years ago, too," she murmured. "You remember those days?" I asked. "Of course. How could I forget?" 3 months later, the equipment was delivered and installed on schedule, smoother than expected thanks to her coordination. "Thank you for your hard work," I said, after tightening the last screw. "Thank you," she replied. "So my part's finished," I said. For a second, her face dimmed. That afternoon, the director called me again. "This isn't about work," he said. "I'd like to ask a personal favor. I want to host a small dinner to celebrate the project. No business talk. Just relax." His earnestness made it hard to refuse. "All right," I said. "I'll come. Misato will be there as well," he added. A few hours later, I arrived at the private dining room. The director was already waiting. Soon the door slid open, and there stood Yamazaki, Misato, in a graceful kimono, so different from her white coat that I literally forgot to breathe. We ate, chatted, and after a while the director excused himself, leaving the 2 of us alone in a quiet room. "You're surprised, aren't you?" she began softly. "I am," I admitted. I'm sorry, she said. I asked my uncle to set this up. I wanted a chance to talk to you alone. I see. Forgive me. You probably don't want to sit like this with someone like me. We should stop. I stood to leave. Wait, she said, gripping my hand. Please, listen to me. All of it. Something in her eyes, an earnestness I'd never seen, made me sit down. I've liked you since 15 years ago, she said. What? I know I said cold things back then. That's true, I answered honestly. They were all to cover up my embarrassment, she said, wincing. I was a National University med student, surrounded by elites, smothered by pride, my own and everyone else's. I didn't have the courage to resist the air of looking down on vocational students. The truth is, watching you assemble that ventilator shocked me. You were incredible. But admitting that felt like defeat, and I couldn't be honest. So I said terrible things. I was immature. She spoke quietly, steadily. I wanted to know you better. Instead, I kept hurting you with my words. I've regretted it for 15 years. If only I'd been honest back then. Tears slid down her cheeks. I had no words. Once I saw you in town, she continued. A ring shone on your left hand. I cried all night. 2 years ago, when my uncle told me you'd divorced, I thought I might get one more chance. That's why I volunteered to lead the device project. On the night of the emergency, the moment I heard system trouble, your face flashed in my mind. Maybe we'd meet again. I wished for it with everything I had. Her confession connected every scattered dot into a line. I know I must seem calculating, she said, but I was desperate. I couldn't let go of a connection I'd held for 15 years. She covered her face, sobbing. I was confused, moved, and doing my best to keep up. Don't call me Dr. Yamazaki anymore, she said at last. Call me Misato. I hesitated. I know you're afraid to trust women, she went on. Uncle told me. Your ex-wife and your best friend. Misato met my eyes. All the more reason I want to make you happy. I want to heal the hurt you carry. I don't want to lose the person I've loved for 15 years. Her sincerity was absolute. But I'm just a technician, I said. You're a physician. We don't match. That's not true, she said, shaking her head. You saved my life. Saved your life? You probably don't remember, she said. 15 years ago, during that joint training, I collapsed from overwork and anemia. You were the one who gave me first aid. In the haze, I heard your gentle voice. Are you all right? Don't push yourself. I fell for you then. But pride got in the way. I couldn't be honest. I'm truly sorry. Something inside me shifted. I'm sorry, I said. I can't give you an answer right now. I understand, she said. Take your time. She wiped her tears and smiled, the most beautiful expression I'd ever seen on her face. 2 weeks passed. I replayed her words in my head. 15 years of feeling. The coldness that had really been fear and regret. Maybe I'd misunderstood her all along. Then another emergency call came from the hospital. Tamura-san, the new monitors aren't interfacing properly with the existing system. In the OR. 30 minutes later, I was there. This time, it's a software compatibility issue, I said. How long will it take? The admin clerk asked, anxious. About 30 minutes. As I worked, someone stepped up beside me. Tamura-kun. It was Misato. In scrubs, looking exhausted. You're about to operate? I asked. Please leave this to me. I pushed through the fixes fast. 25 minutes later, the system was fully restored. All good, I said. Thank you. You saved us, she said, turning toward the OR. then swayed. "Misato," I blurted, catching her by the shoulders. "I'm okay," she said, "just tired. Don't overdo it. But the patient is waiting." She forced a smile. "You're the same as 15 years ago," I said. "You push yourself for others and forget to look after yourself, unless someone is there to support you." Her eyes filled. "If you'll have me," I said, the words coming of their own accord. "I want to be that person. I want to support you." Is that your answer?" she asked. "Please go out with me," I said. She stared, then nodded hard, tears spilling again. "Thank you. Thank you." She wiped her face and hurried into surgery. Watching her back recede through the doors, I felt warmth spread through my chest. A year later, Misato and I were married, starting a new life together. "I'm home," I called. "Welcome back," she said with a soft smile, no longer the severe face of a surgeon, but the gentle face of my wife. "Busy day?" "Pretty much," she said, "but knowing you're waiting at home keeps me going." She hugged me. "Uncle's invited us to dinner tomorrow," she added. "Again?" "He just treated us," I said, laughing. "He's happy," she said. "That I'm happy." The director had been our most enthusiastic supporter. He'd cried at the wedding. "I'm so glad I met you," she murmured. "Me too," I said. "Thank you for thinking of me for 15 years. "Of course. You're my fate," she said, blushing, an expression so tender I would never have imagined it on the woman I'd known back then. "If we'd been honest earlier, we might have been together sooner," I said. "Even the long way around has value," she replied. We both grew. Me as a physician, you as an engineer. "Maybe that's exactly why we can support each other now," I said. She squeezed my hand. "Let's keep doing that. Always. Always," I answered. Outside, a beautiful sunset pooled across the sky. The heart that had been shredded by divorce had been wrapped, carefully and patiently, in Misato's warmth. The love she'd carried for 15 years had saved me. "Hey, Taka," she said shyly. What is it?" "I want a child," she said, cheeks pink. "Me too." "Really?" "Really. A child with you." She hid her face, flustered, and I pulled her into a tight embrace. 2 paths that had once diverged had crossed again after 15 years. I promised myself I would never let go of this warm hand in mine.